up, everyone? Jared Riot coming to you live from the Riot House. There was a couple different press conferences that we covered today, and we really just wanted to kind of touch base on them for a second time, give you a little more clarity and some clips in case any of you missed it. We do have links to the full press conferences available in the description that you can check out here. They are on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. But we wanted to show you just some clips from each of those press conferences today. The first one that we're going to cover is going to be the Kentucky COVID update. This is the Team Kentucky update from Andy Beshear, Governor of Kentucky. So let's just go ahead and take a look and see what he's got to say about the recent COVID numbers in the state of Kentucky.
Omicron continues to burn through the Commonwealth, growing at levels we have never seen before. When we show you today the stair-stepper chart, it should shock you, as last week was the highest week for new cases by far, at nearly double the next highest week that we have seen. Omicron is significantly more contagious than even the Delta variant, and if it spreads at the rate we're seeing, it is certainly going to fill up our hospitals. For those that think it's just the common cold, when we show you the growth in hospitalizations and how the line is almost going straight up, it should tell you that if we don't take this seriously, people die, and not just people who contract COVID. People who have heart attacks, people who have strokes, people who are in car accidents because beds are taken up primarily by unvaccinated Kentuckians, leaving no room for those that need other help. Last week, we had 52,603 cases of COVID-19. Our previous record was 30,680. And still, as Dr. Stack will tell you, we are nowhere near the overall incident rate that we are seeing in New York, meaning it's a possibility that that peak could potentially even double, depending on our practices and what we do. Here is hospital capacity by region. You can see how concerning it is, with 92.8% of ICU beds filled up in the 5th region, and as you look around, so many of them in the 97 percentiles. This increased rapidly all across the state, and remember, it looks like we are just on the escalation, not the peak and not the decline for Omicron.
Governor Beshear has already shared Omicron is setting new record highs for the numbers of new cases and test positivity right on a nearly daily basis at this point. Here we see Kentucky's journey in cases from the start of the pandemic to the present time. So this and the next slide are taken from the website 91-divoc.com. We are now on a nearly vertical spike, the likes of which dwarf all prior escalations. In just 2 weeks, Kentucky has gone from roughly half of our Delta surge peak to more than double our Delta peak. At this point, essentially all COVID-19 is likely to be the Omicron variant. Do not go to an ER just to get a COVID test. Do not go to an ER just to get a COVID test. If you can't get a test but have mild to moderate illness, stay at home and do not go to school or work until you feel better. If you are sick and feel you need medical care, call your doctor. Go to the ER, though, if and only if you think you have an emergency. They are there. They will help you. They will do the best they can. But do not go to an ER just to get a COVID test. Second, if you are sick, stay home until you feel better. Next, get vaccinated or boosted if you're eligible. Boosters dramatically bolster your protection against severe disease and death. Next, wear a well-fitting mask at all times when indoors in public places such as school, work, stores, theaters, or any of those other settings. And finally, if you think you have COVID-19 and or have had a high-risk exposure and you are able to get one, go ahead and get tested.
So again, that is details for Kentucky as a whole, but we are seeing similar numbers in Louisville, and those recommendations also apply. But since we are seeing those similar numbers in Louisville, most specifically, we had 700 confirmed cases in one single day, which kind of spiked interest. There has been a response, and there is a new mass test site that has been implemented at Churchill Downs. There was a press conference held today about those details. So let's just take a look at that.
Okay, Omicron is with us. We all know that, and it has remarkable infectiousness compared to the other variants that have been out there. And once and again, it's proving why it's a real test for the world and for our city. We are recording just incredibly high daily case numbers and incidence rates that would have been unimaginable even a year ago, before the vaccines were widely available or during the height of the Delta variant. And we're just shattering records and new cases that Dr. Hartledge is going to talk more about here in a second.
We continue to set records with COVID case counts every day. The numbers are really unfathomably high at this point. Last week, in the last 7 days, we logged 16,287 new cases, which gives us an incidence rate of 303 cases per 100,000 of the population. And our testing positivity rate is 32%. Those are all record high numbers.
We wanted to adapt, and this site here at Churchill Downs is a perfect example of how we can adapt to meet new challenges that are caused by the virus with the help of great partners like Churchill Downs, one of Louisville's iconic companies, and of course Blue Water Diagnostic Laboratory. And Blue Water's been on the forefront of the COVID response ever since it started.
One of the first people through the line did a test. I just heard this just a minute ago, and from beginning to finish it was 36 minutes from them to pull in the line and get tested and pull out. I think that's pretty incredible considering this is our very first day, and we got here and at 7 o'clock this morning and we probably had over 150 cars in line already before we could
have learned anything. It is to stay humble to this virus. We want to be done with it, but clearly it is not done with us. It continues to infect more and more people, causing serious damage and then obviously up to death in the worst cases.
So again, this is at Churchill Downs in the orange lot. It is by appointment only. You will need your ID to verify your identity, of course. No insurance is required. This is a PCI test, and they are looking at 24 to 72 hour turnaround. If you want more details on this test site, you can go to www.bluewaterdx.com, and that link should be again in the description of this broadcast. So the third clip we're gonna have for you here was the second half of the Team Kentucky update. It's Western Team Kentucky update. Update on the repairs that are underway in Western Kentucky at this moment from the tornado just around a month ago. So let's go ahead and take a look at those details right now.
Just a few updates on our efforts on tornado recoveries. 1 month since the deadly storms hit. Currently, Kentucky State Parks open their arms and their rooms and their cottages, and they're providing housing and food service for 480 displaced Kentuckians and 139 first responders. There are 177 state park rooms occupied by displaced Kentuckians, and 99 rooms have been provided for our first responders. I made the announcement some time ago that we would ensure that housing for 30 days, which would end today. We are extending it another 30 days. So to those that are displaced because of the tornadoes staying in our state parks, we got you. Press conference on our request to FEMA to add another 90 days to the 100% match. We were turned down. However, we did get flexibility. We still only have 30 days of 100% coverage for two general areas. They're called A and B, but we can now choose in the first 120-day period which 30 days we want the 100% on. In other words, we can figure out the costliest 30-day period, and the federal government will cover everything on it. Listen.
So basically that will allow the state to choose a group of 30 days so that it can be, most fiscally responsible. They'll be able to choose, what 30-day time frame that they can get the full compensation from the FEMA request. So basically they can run the numbers after the fact, a couple months from now, several months from now, and then be like, well, we want from date X to date X to be covered, to make sure that it covers, the biggest increment of relief that we can get from those FEMA relief funds. He later confirmed that debris removal still continues to be one of the biggest obstacles in the repair and recovery and cleanout process, but it does continue to remain successful, slowly but surely. So the final press conference update that we got from one of the press conferences actually ended up being tacked on at the very end of the press conference in Louisville here today about the Churchill Downs test site. It was interesting that it was released to the press as an announcement for the Churchill Downs press site, and then this was tacked on at the very end. But this is Mayor Greg Fischer's statement on the recent death at the Louisville Metro Department of Corrections. This is the 5th death in 6 weeks, and this is the statement that he had to release on it. So let's go ahead and take a look.
The inmate was transported to University Hospital, where unfortunately he passed. The inmate was a 66-year-old male who was booked into corrections on January the 5th. This is the 5th inmate that has died within 6 weeks. So this is very concerning. All cases are being investigated by LMPD's Public Integrity Unit. One case is being investigated by the FBI. We've initiated these upon the deaths when they occurred. I've asked LMPD to accelerate their investigations, and if we determine there's any type of pattern to these recent deaths, we certainly will open further investigations. It's been well communicated that corrections has been experiencing staffing shortages due to COVID-19. I want to accentuate that this most recent death happened in a medical housing unit where staffing is prioritized in the medical wing. This unit was adequately staffed with corrections officers and medical professionals at the time of the inmate's death. We've been in the process also of pushing for increased wages at corrections with a new side letter. Discussions were ongoing last week and over the weekend, and we expect the union to vote later this week. We're also in conversations with WellPath. WellPath is the jail's medical provider. We're talking to them about a new contract that will devote additional resources to health and wellness services at the jail. So obviously we take this very seriously, and we offer our condolences to the families of all of the deceased. Any questions?
Yeah, you mentioned that you guys.
So there's going to be an investigation that is being conducted by Louisville Metro Police Department on this death. It has not been elevated to any or escalated to any other authorities at this moment. Even further, to confirm that Heather Fontaine of WHAS posed this question to Governor Andy Beshear earlier this evening during the Team Kentucky update. So let's take a look. This will be the final clip that we got for you. Then we'll be closing out. We're going to try to do some more of these little late night updates whenever there's a lot of stuff, a lot of press conferences that happen, because they tend to be lengthy, 30, 45, hour and a half. So we're going to try to clip it down to you, kind of like mainstream does a little bit more. But we are going to link the entire live streams, all of the videos of Everything that we've shown you, you can watch them unedited as the live streams, and we have the links in the description, so make sure that you go check those out if you want more details on it. But again, Heather Fontaine from WHAS crushed it with this question during the Team Kentucky update. Just later, a few hours after Mayor Fischer slid in his press conference after the announcement of the test site. So let's see what Andy Brashear had to say.
The jail here in Louisville has now had 5 inmates die while in custody of LMDC in the last 6 weeks. I know some are blaming it on understaffing. I'm kind of just wondering, at what point can and would the state step in to do something about this issue?
I don't think anybody ever likes to see somebody pass away in custody or outside of it. We have not been approached, to my knowledge, about providing assistance at the moment. I know that there are a number of different issues, from staffing, which we face at the state level, to a number of other issues. Can't say we have specific criteria about when we would step in, but we are certainly always willing to help and provide any type of guidance. I mean, with that said, when it's necessary, we are at least there in expressing concern and then trying to work to find a solution.
So, I don't know. Interesting. It looks like Andy didn't really have much to say on the topic, other than he didn't really have anything that he could do at the moment. But again, LMPD is supposed to be conducting the investigation. It's not being escalated to any other authorities at this moment. But 5 deaths in 6 weeks is definitely questionable. So I hope that the investigation can be thorough, or that some other eyes can be on it at some point. So the next late night chat that we're going to be doing is going to be tomorrow at 8 o'clock. We will be getting together with some of the other 502 live streamers, as well as some of the top medical professionals here in Louisville, to ask questions about COVID-19 and its effects. So if you have any questions, you can inbox them to us, and we'll see if we can get them in there. But we're going to go ahead and sign off for now. So tune in tomorrow again at 8 o'clock. To see that. Just wanted to make sure that you got caught up on everything today, especially the stuff on the Louisville Metro Department of Corrections. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Everybody stay strong and stay safe.